Go for it.
Welcome to another episode of the B&W Show. You can watch us on Facebook and YouTube at the B&W Show. For all questions, comments, or even suggestions of discussion, you can reach us at the B&W Show 1 at gmail.com. And now, on to the next episode.
What up, my mustard asses?
Mustard. You know that mustard asses?
I smell mustard.
Welcome to another episode of the greatest show ever, the B&W Show.
Peace, peace, peace.
So there is a presidential election still afoot.
A lot of things around the president.
Right. And still there's a whatever. But the Democrats, or the Democrats and the Republicans are still lighting us up on TV and social media and road signs. Like they're going to change things. But, they're not for change. Back in September, you might recall that we told you that there was more than two parties that existed. That's right, more than two. There's like the Green Party, there's the Tea Party, there's much more farther right, there's much more farther left, believe it or not, but it can go. Then we talked about mostly the Libertarians. So who are the Libertarians, you might ask once again. So all the questions we had from last time weren't fully asked, so here we are, part 2, to ask again. So I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to you once again Mr. Larry Turtle Jones. Larry is a registered libertarian, a former Marine. He likes long walks on the beach, cuddling up and rainy nights, and is a Pisces. Sorry, ladies, he is still married.
Yes, I am.
So, welcome again, Mr. Turtle. How are you today?
Thank you guys for having me back.
Yes.
Always.
Good to see you back again, man.
Always.
Got a lot of questions for you.
So with that, take it away. What's your first question? Fire away.
No, my first question is, where were you in your house or in your mind when you came up with that word Democrats? Like, that's very creative.
No, I stole that from Rush Limbaugh. I can't take credit for that. That's okay. Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck. They use that fairly. Democrats and the Republicans.
And
honesty is
Republicans.
Republicans.
Yeah.
Right.
That is some creative way of saying some things.
That
is
actually
very accurate.
Yes.
Yeah. That was
unlike some politicians. Honesty is key.
Yep. So last time you went over with us the very basics of the Libertarian Party. Libertarian stands for liberty, not for liberals.
Right.
Because don't want to be mistaken for liberal.
No.
I think from time to time. So we have several questions that were left over from last time in regards to political systems, city government, government as a whole, as to the difference of how the Libertarians see things versus the Republicans and the Democrats.
Yeah. And there are a lot of differences between the parties, and the Libertarian Party does have some ideas that fall along with some of the Democrats' ideas, and then they do also have a lot that follow with a lot of the Republicans' ideas. They have a tendency to take things a lot further than either of those parties are willing to go, though. So
cool. So I've been having this argument with a bunch of my friends other than Lavelle. He's about the only person that I had this argument with. On asking the question, like I had my own perspective before I met you, but you really opened my eyes up to a lot about libertarians from the last show. But I still have to ask this question because you already talked to me, but I want you to more elaborate to the audience so far as your views on affirmative action that you think is still needed, right? As a libertarian, like what is your perspective on it?
Okay, I think that affirmative action definitely had its place in America at one point in time. I feel that if we're talking about today's current standings in society, I don't think it's needed. And I think it actually does a lot more harm than good. The example I think I gave to you was like a bicycle with training wheels. We needed the training wheels when civil rights and everything else, and you had a lot of inequality in schools and everything else in place. But I think we've moved past a lot of that. I'm not saying that everything's 100% fixed, but I think we've moved past a lot of that. Libertarian stance is definitely not pro-government regulating how many people should be hired of certain ethnicities, or even allowing that for a standard of school entrance and things of that nature. And now you're actually having problems with affirmative action actually discriminating against minorities, mainly with school and the Asian population. Like a lot of Asian children are actually being turned away from major universities because they've already filled their quotas, and now they have to make spots available for people that might not necessarily met standards and things of that nature, just to fill quotas. And now you've got people that are being admitted into schools that might not necessarily be up to par on that school's teaching levels. So now you're actually having higher dropout rates and things of that nature of minority students, because their education wasn't up to par and things of that nature. How can you expect to go to Harvard with I'm just using this hypothetically, I'm not saying that you would get in, but like an 800 SAT score, you're not going to make it in that class. You're not going to make it at that education level. So you've got students being admitted that shouldn't be there, and you've got students being excluded that should be there, all based upon racial.
Right. It's like if their boss were to hire their kids and make you the manager, even though you've been there for 10, 15 years, and he's just going to come in because he's the boss's kid. He gets a place, and he's got to try to make his way, and he's going to make more mistakes than what you would have if you were in his place because you had the experience versus the. And
then you also have the whole other side of things. Okay. So you have an African American or a Latino or somebody that gets promoted into a position because that person's qualified for the position. But now everybody's looking at it as, oh, they're just filling a quota
so
position.
Two sides to it. Yeah.
So, I think that we've gotten to the point now where I think most people would agree, okay, that I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. I'm not saying anything of that nature, but I think that we've moved to the point now that we can actually say, look, we need to do away with quotas, number bases, things of that nature, and forcing companies or giving them some kind of break or incentives for those things to make it a true equal level playing field. You're never going to have equality until it's equal for everybody, and that includes everybody playing by the same rules.
True. So affirmative action was a safeguard in a sense, right?
Yes.
Right. So, okay, if you take away affirmative action, if you remove that safeguard, you remove that governor off the engine can go as fast as it's built to go.
Exactly.
Not everybody can control that engine. What safeguards do we have? So if in a sense, if we take it past education,
okay,
and say, okay, go to a real job, we take away affirmative action. You still have the one that could be more qualified, the minority, but it's not the buddy. So the buddy may get the job, which may not be the best for the buddy, but that's one story. But if you put that story on a populace, what's the safeguard to protect you from promoting the populace in a sense? You see what I mean?
You're never going to have a complete safeguard,
right?
In a true society with any kind of freedom to it, because
so you would have to come up with another safeguard or something.
Well, or do you?
So if we remove the boundaries, how wide do we make the sideline? That's my question. It's not, because everything is a good idea. It's a good discussion to to see the pros and cons, but it's okay. This is just my thought process in the sense to say, okay, if we remove the safeguard, because even the safeguard may become fucked up, or it is fucked up in certain areas is what it is. And if we did take away that safeguard in certain regions, yes, we would have a populace being promoted. We may have certain people, certain regions of America that may equally see everybody. And then we have certain regions of America that may not, but is there not a standard, or do we need a standard?
Well, do we need?
Should we have a standard, or what protects us from us in a sense?
Well, that's a great question. What protects us from us? Okay,
right.
I don't think that we need protection from us. I think we, as a people, okay, or as a society, doesn't need some grand master in the scheme of things dictating what goes on.
True.
I think if you talk to most, and I'm saying this in a generalized statement here, people, you can always go and find the individual that's going to not make this statement true.
Right.
Okay. But I think if you talk to 90% of people out there, okay, 90% of people don't hold racist, like true racist values. Like you are lesser of a human being because you are of a certain ethnicity.
You see it in the present.
Okay. In the present, in the present, in today's society. Okay.
Right.
I don't think you're going to find very many people out there that are going to say, this is less of a person because he's African American, or this is less of a person because they're Asian,
that mindset has dissipated a lot.
It's dissipated a lot. So
but it still is remnant.
And I'm not saying that there isn't.
It's funny though.
I'm not.
Right.
But I also will say this, that if you look at society today, I think the most racism actually comes from the people that are actually fighting the hardest to try to end racism. You go talk to like extreme liberal people, okay, and they'll be like, I'm sorry for what my great grandfather did, and I should pay for what that person did somehow in life. That's not equality, people. That's not leveling the playing field. That's holding on to things. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't learn from the past. Everybody should know history, know the horrors of history, know everything about it.
But carrying on something,
but you can't
bringing it face on.
And you're bringing pity to that people.
Exactly.
Like I pity you so much. I feel like I should give you something.
Exactly. That's not helping anybody out.
Right.
That doesn't help anybody out. And if anything, it's making just like voter ID laws. Okay, to ask somebody for an identification card to vote. Okay, whether you're for it or against it. Okay, but to say that that's a racist thing to do. Okay, how is that racist?
Right.
Are you really telling me? And I actually heard this from Candace Owens, who's an African American Republican. Okay, very, very Trump supporter, everything, but which I am not, by the way. But she actually said, do you really think that my race is so stupid that we can't go get an identification card?
So you're trying to say the ID is supposed to have been a preventative measure to stop like African Americans were going to have IDs, so they wasn't going to
vote. We got new IDs that we're supposed to have. We got a new ID we're supposed to get by next year?
And it was real interesting. There was a college interview where this very right-wing group came out and went to a college and asked all these white people, what do you think of voter ID laws? Well, those are racist because African Americans have harder times getting identification cards and things of that nature. And then they went into a black community and were asking all the African community, do you have an ID? And like every single one of them were like, yes, we have an ID. That's a stupid question to ask, but somehow
that wasn't going to work.
This is like a racist policy. That's not a racist policy. It's not. So
the nationalist policy.
You have
everybody.
Right.
Yeah, you can say it's a nationalist policy. That would actually be a lot more accurate of a term for that.
Right.
But
that's what you want.
But
See, it's called a travel ID. That's what we gotta get.
yeah, we've
All
got to
right.
get
Arizona
we've got to
one.
get
Yeah,
travel
travel
IDs.
Hey, I promise you this. I just went and got my travel ID, traced my driver's license with the star.
Yeah.
Right. And she asked me for
Now
so
you in
much
the whole system.
She asked me
The
for
whole
so much
system.
stuff that I had to turn around and ask the white man, "Is she asking you for this?"
Right.
I promise you. She was like, "I need your last driver's license, your birth certificate, your passport, your social security card." I was like, "I'm just getting." Listen what I want to do. I just want to change my photo on my driver's license. That's all I want to do. Why I need these things? I was like, man,
And they are asking the white
yeah,
people for
but
the
yeah,
same thing.
he told me, he was like, he showed me in his bag. He was like, she had told me yesterday to bring everything. So I was like, oh, so it's not.
It's
People
some
don't look at it
serious
like
shit.
that, man. Don't look at it like that. I agree with just to end this part of the question about affirmative action. How I feel as a student now, that I feel like some things are still the same in a way, but we didn't came past that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be at a point to where I'm a straight A student, and I don't want to be not accepting into the next step of my life because a quota. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, hey man, I know you got straight A's, Mr. Suggs, but Chris, he's a C student.
Or the opposite. What if you have all A's and a B, and the guy next to you has all A's, but like, we were going to put you in the honor society because you're black.
Yeah, how'd
that make you feel?
Yeah, that's not cool, man.
And
You know
that just perpetrates that just perpetrates, in all honesty,
That's the
racist ideologies.
Yeah,
because
right.
now
That's the
you've got people sitting there
participation award.
looking.
Right. Exactly.
You've got sitting there people looking at you and questioning: is this person qualified, or is this person here because of the color of the
rule,
skin?
Right.
The pity rule. We're gonna call it the pity rule.
Right.
And
It was needed back in the day, but now it make it feel like
So call me a racist because I feel that everybody's equal and don't need those kinds of advantages to get through life. I just don't see it. I don't see it being necessary today. As I said, I think there was a point in time in this country, and this country's got a history of racism. I'm not denying that. Okay.
It's made up of people.
That's kind of one of the statements I made the last time. Donald Trump says, let's make America great again. I say, let's make America great, because I think that you can look at the history of this country and find a lot of things that weren't great about it 50 years ago or 60 years ago,
when you travel somewhere else, you get to appreciate home. I tell everybody, you need to leave this country. See how another country is. Go to a third world country.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Europe and look at the classifications within the basically the community structure. Really pay attention, because a lot of people just go to the tourist spot where they hide a lot of that. But actually go out there. Hell, go to England. Right there.
I lived in the Middle East for 2 years, and the country that I lived in, because I was in the military, and the country I lived in was a country called Bahrain. And Bahrain, it used to be a British territory, so there was a lot of Western influence. There were still a lot of British people living there and things of that nature. But you had literally no middle class. You had the filthy rich that didn't know what to do with all their money, or you had 20 people in a one-bedroom apartment. It was no in between.
Top or bottom.
You were top or bottom, and there was nothing in between. There was no middle class at all. And they had laws in that country
crazy
to protect people.
Right.
Like if you were a Bahraini citizen, if you were hired by a business, you actually had to get permission from the king of Bahrain to fire that person. So what did the businesses do? They just didn't hire Bahraini citizens. They actually imported their employees from Pakistan,
got a job for you over in Turkey,
and everything else. So you had the people of the country starving, but you had these rules in place basically
so
of government control.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally caused this disparity in income and everything else.
It's funny you say that because I had a conversation this morning with somebody I work with. It's talking about the ideology, the mental thoughts of a lot of people in Congress. So there's a lot of 75 plus, 80 plus year old congressmen. So within that whole gathering, there's a shared mentality of the way it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say, I don't see the new adjustment. It's like, going from regular radio antenna over to HD. You like, that's some new shit.
Yeah, you used to have the rabbit ears and everything
Right.
else on your TV, and now it's all high def piped in right on location.
And when their day of retirement, because all them 80 plus people gonna start changing out real quick. Now everybody that replaces them is not gonna have that shared mentality. There may be one or two, there may be three or four, but there may not be. There probably most likely will not be.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we see, we have youngins now getting into politics, with a different mentality. And therefore growing comes a new
the thing that scares me the most about a lot of the younger politicians that are coming in is how extreme their socialist values are,
right.
and how big they really truly want government to be. And you can look
because they're coming off the parent tit and wanting to go into the government.
Exactly.
Sex is a lollipop.
Genetic politics.
Yeah, right. Sex is like a lollipop to youngins.
Right.
You say what?
Sex is like a lollipop because that is the party right now.
Yeah. Right.
It's not always about what I'm doing for tomorrow. It's, hey, yeah, I do what I have to do, but we going to a party. Let me see some girls. Let's have some.
And, I just like to let people know this. All you people that believe in socialism out there and that believe it's a good thing, okay, just remember this. The Nazi Party was the National Socialist Party, people. All those things, government health care, free education, no guns, all that were Nazi Party beliefs and that they enacted in Germany. Mm-hmm. Once they got those things enacted, that's what gave them the power to start picking pieces of the population out and denying them basic human rights. Right. Okay. Once you have the government controlling health, and these are statements that are being made by current politicians right now. We want single payer healthcare, which is government healthcare. Okay. We want to ban assault weapons and magazines over 10 rounds and blah, blah, blah. Okay, we want to make free education for all. We basically want, a big one now is somebody's actually out there that they want to give $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month to people that don't make a certain wage. Okay.
Well.
Now, all these policies might sound good, and you're probably sitting there going, wow, $2,000 a month would be great in my pocket. I know it would be for me. Okay, but the fact is you're going to pay for it. Okay. It's called taxpayer pay, not free. Okay, there's no such thing as free in government. It's taxpayer paid. So you get extremely high tax rates to make all this stuff happen. Okay, you go to work, and now instead of 30% of your income going to taxes, which I think is still too much, you're going to have 60 or 70% going to taxes. But you get free stuff.
Like Viking went crazy, son.
Tell me one thing that the government has done efficiently. And then you let the government take control of all this stuff. What is to stop them? Bernie Sanders has actually said that we need population control monitored by the government. What does that mean? So when you're 75 years old, are you all of a sudden past your prime? You're not going to be working anymore. Is it going to be viable for them to pay for your health care? Right. Now, the government's the only person that can give you health care. So if they decide to deny you health care, where are you going to turn?
Right. And then there's no need to further health care because they know you get so far, you get to be what they consider terminal, they no longer need to research that. They're just like, well, he's terminal now,
He's
so he might
terminal.
as well just end his life, her life.
He's going to die.
So
I don't know why
the
Bernie
Nazi
would say
Party literally had
man.
policies in place that actually, if you were
Well,
well,
Oh,
he's
real
a county, he's
stuff.
not part of the population.
that. Right.
if
That's why you need to research, get herbs, natural things that can make you better, man, because you never know what the government's going to do, man. Be prepared, man.
I don't encourage very many people to watch fictional television, but if anybody out there has Amazon Prime, please watch The Man in the High Castle, because we are one bad election away from those policies being enacted all through America. And that's, if you're handicapped, we're just going to kill you. If you are mentally
Who said
disabled,
that?
we're going to kill you.
That's terrible.
You know, well, as I said, we're one bad election away where those policies are being talked about in the 2020 election as far as everything enacted in place. And then all you need to do is put in some player that is going to enact
Is
That's going to hold it down.
the next wave.
so is
So
Beto still in the running? I'm not
Beto is not.
Oh.
Beto got Beto.
He lost his bets, huh?
He lost his bets.
He was the crazy a-hole who came out on national TV, says, we're going to take your guns. And if you don't want to give up your guns, I'm going to send the police to your door and have them forcibly take your guns. I was like, you're going to get a lot of policemen killed, buddy.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of policemen killed.
And
Texas
in all-
gonna have a population boom.
and in all honesty,
Well, he's from Texas.
okay, you
Oh,
got
for real?
Right?
Oh,
Which is even
wow.
crazier.
you've
Yeah.
got 100. You've got
That's damn right,
over
stupid.
300 million guns in America, which actually equates to more than the population of America. There's more guns than people here.
Yeah.
Okay, now granted,
Gu-
not
guns
everybody
outnumber
owns a
the-
gun. Okay,
Yeah, guns
Some-
outnumber the number of people in my house.
some own 20, some own 4 or 5.
Proud.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
But you still have, let's say, 100 million gun users in America.
Right.
Nobody is going to win an election saying that they're going to take our guns, people.
Right. No way.
buddy.
No way.
Because I'll tell you what, gun users vote.
See, it, to me, you know, it's the message.
Yeah.
You know, it's always the same message, but then there's a new tweak, which really is just the same message colored
Mhm.
differently.
Mhm.
You always say you're trying to tax the same party as normal, and then you really don't do it, you know, because that party's backing you. But it sounds
Right.
good, and long as it sounds good and people can't pinpoint the trail of where
Feel
it goes,
good politics.
and that's where they start massaging you, you know. So
And they go on that whole taxing the rich thing because they know they can't really do it. So because you tax the rich or the people who own the businesses, who then apply those tax losses to whatever there is they're selling, tack it onto the price that the people us are buying, and thus we're paying their taxes.
Exactly.
Or they have their little
Mhm.
or they're taking their cuts. You know, I've donated this so much to charity. I donated this so much to charity. I know that knows the number of taxes that I owe because I've done so much charitable work. And then all my assets are no longer on American soil; they're now on foreign soil. Well, there are no taxes. You know, Switzerland or the Cayman Islands, whatever. And so those no longer eligible for taxing.
Yeah.
And so guess what? Those higher taxes that got voted in for the rich, they don't go away. They now go down to the next level of people who are
Yep.
going to be able to pay them, which is the middle class.
You are never, ever going to run a society, okay, in an efficient manner with government in charge. If you look at every great thing that's ever come about in society, it's not been the government that has put that in place. It's private industries, things of that nature. The automobile was invented by he invented the conveyor belt or the assembly line to make it efficient. Okay. But it's private industry. You want to talk about who has done more for the environment than anybody? It's private industry. Whoever invented the thumb drive saved 1 billion trees a year because now nobody needs to print things out anymore to do it. I mean, printers are almost obsolete now.
Well, and even any of the social push forwards of government of society have been been anti-government. So Rosa Parks, it was law that black people sit in the front or the back, and the white people sit in the front, and the black people had to stand up if a white person wanted to sit down. And that was a government law.
Yes.
And it was Rosa who said, "Fuck you, government.
Exactly.
I'm not getting up."
It's always been the government that has always enforced all the bad in society.
Right.
So it's not the people. Okay, let's face it. Yes, I'm not going to deny that there aren't individual situations. Everybody's gone through them. I don't care what color your skin is. Everybody's gone through a situation where they were judged based on the way they looked. Okay, whether you're white, black, Mexican, it don't matter. Everybody has been judged in some time in their life based upon the way they look. Look at me. I've got tattoos. I've got, big long goatee. I wear punk rock shirts. I mean, I've walked into places and been denied service and things of that nature. I went to a car dealership one time and waited around for 45 minutes and never had a salesperson come up and talk to me. I had 30 grand in my bank account to buy a car. I walked out of there. Before I did, I made sure that I let somebody know that I've got 30 grand in my bank and he just lost a sale because I've been here for 45 minutes and nobody spoke to me. But I mean, we all get judged upon the way we look.
I went to the gym once. I was thrown out. I mean, granted, it was curves, and it's a women's only gym, but I got thrown out.
But everybody has been discriminated against at some point in their life, is what I'm getting at, and it's
Be a fool. All right, since we was talking about,
he said curves. You should have just said, "Well, I'm curvy."
Right?
curvy.
That's why I'm here at the gym.
oh my god!
All right, since we was talking about taxes, let's go into what Turtle and Libertarians think about free market.
The free market is where it's at. And if you think that we have a free market in today's world, this isn't a free market, people. This is not capitalism. This is corporatism. There is nothing about today's society that is a true free market, non-monopoly.
Man, one corporation owns 10 to 20 subsidiary companies that we buy major appliances from.
Well, let's talk about the media for a second. 6 corporations own every television, newsprint, radio station. Every way you get your news and everything else is done by 6 corporations. Think about that. Just think about that for a second here.
It's crazy.
Except for this one.
Yeah,
this is the B&W show. You got nothing to do with this show.
I wouldn't be on here if this was corporate owned. But
all right, I'm going to push out a question. Like I was at my school, and I was saying a couple things to people that I was about to have a libertarian on it. So I got some questions. I got one, just drop out 2 questions that I just want you to answer. That somebody asked me. This actually was a white guy. I'm not going to say his name, but he's cool. All right, said, is today's libertarian willing to acknowledge that workers who bargain for their services individually and collectively are also employing market forces?
Okay, so unions. Okay.
Yeah.
The Libertarian Party is definitely more of a right to work party. Okay. There's nothing against the libertarian philosophy that says that unions can't exist. Okay. But collectively, it's not. Libertarians don't believe in forced unions employment. Unions can get
safeguard.
It's a
safeguard, but it can also be very corrupt at the same point in time.
They have their place, and sometimes they overstep.
Exactly.
But who they for? The people. They're for the people.
But at the same point in time, you look at what they've done to Detroit. Right. I mean, Detroit is a perfect example of the bad of a union. You've gotten union people that have made millions of dollars for being at the tops of these unions, and they basically raised the wages so high for the lowest employees that the auto manufacturers couldn't even afford to produce there anymore, and started taking their businesses not only to other countries but to other states. You have bordering states now that are producing a lot of Detroit's cars. The stuff that was produced in Detroit is not being produced in Indiana or Tennessee or,
I thought that was very,
it's strange.
It's strange, but then I say, is it bad? Not long as it's still produced here in America.
Oh,
I'm
still an American made
vehicle,
something that was, producing well out of state.
It's like the icon is now dwindling.
Now Detroit doesn't have that stranglehold of the car market like they used to have. It used to be you could go to Detroit and go to work for an auto manufacturer. Now you really can't do that anymore. And you look at what it's done to Detroit. Well, that and complete
just
liberal socialist
look
policies.
At the price of cars. So everybody complains of how expensive cars are. A lot of that's due to the increase on the union wages and uses stipulations that cause car makers to
you had the lowest employees making $30 an hour, and then you turned around and those auto manufacturers have to pass those costs on to the consumer, and the consumer started running out and buying import cars. They started running out and buying Japanese cars, and they started buying, and then the unions protected bad employees in their jobs. So now these guys don't even have to produce in order to get paid good wages. So, and I mean, yes, this is an extreme example, and I'm not saying all unions are bad and this and that, but at the same point in time, when you dictate those union policies upon workers, all of a sudden, if I own a business, if it was my business, let's say I make widgets, because it's a nice, simple, non-existent item, okay? So I make widgets. If I put up all the money to rent the space for the factory and buy the machines to produce the widget, okay? And you come along and I give you a job to push this button on the machine that makes the widgets, okay? And then you dictate to me that I won't push that button for less than $50 an hour. I don't have the right as the owner of the company. Now put this, reverse it. You are the owner, okay? And I'm pushing the button and I say, I demand this wage from you. And you say, you know what? I don't want to pay that wage. Now, as an employee, you have the right to not push that button for $50 an hour. You have that right. Nobody's forcing you to push the button for $5 an hour. But as soon as you start dictating to me, I lose all power as the owner of the company. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I believe in the right of people in general to run their businesses as they see fit. I don't believe in minimum wages. I think minimum wages do artificial inflation on society. It's been proven. Okay. Look at the demand for $15 an hour, and now you've got kiosks at McDonald's to order your food from. They're eliminating employees because now that kiosk is cheaper than the person.
They're moving to fully automation.
They're moving to automation, and automation, a lot of things are being automated. Okay. But at the same point in time, okay, minimum wage was initially designed to be an entry-level wage. This is entry-level. It wasn't meant to be
It's not a livable wage.
It wasn't supposed to be a livable
like
wage.
a motivation. Go do something more to get more money.
Going to start working at minimum wage. I'm going to prove my worth as an employee, and then I'm going to move up.
Build my knowledge, build my skills,
so
go to the next level.
And go to the next level. So it wasn't in most people it's like 90% of people that make minimum wage in this country still live at home with their parents. It's like a high school job that most people are doing. Most people. I'm not saying all. I'm saying most. And most people that are older that work for minimum wage have basically not proven themselves they don't have a work experience behind them or something of that nature, where this is an entry-level job for them. Once they get skills, they can go make $10, $12, $13, $14 an hour. And if you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, the pricing of everything is going to increase. People are still not going to be able to live on it. And the person that was making $16 an hour are still making $16 an hour, and now they're closer to the poverty level.
And the packaging going to get small. Like Girl Scout cookies.
Exactly.
Switched up on the packaging.
I swear there ain't as many cookies was in there before.
Nah,
bro.
man, especially them Samoas, man. They took
Man, they
one
changed
cookie
them.
less out of each roll
That's a fat
and then
man
made
talk.
the package skinny.
The bag of potato chips is going to even have more air.
They got
in it,
more
you
air
know?
than chips.
Yeah.
You know,
Man, I'm trying to tell you.
But
man.
that's
the
what-
bags get bigger and the less chips inside.
That's what Turtle said last time. You can enjoy them raising minimum wage, but everything else has to rise also to
Right.
keep up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The price of living, cars, food, taxes. Like it's like you didn't even get up. Like you're not even making more money.
Now, just imagine we didn't have minimum wage. Okay, let's just take a little poll up here. Okay, how many people here, out of the four of us? Okay, we have different ethnicities and everything else. How many people on this panel make minimum wage? Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so how many people on this panel make $20 an hour or less? Okay, so if we raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, are you going to get a wage increase? Who here would get a wage increase of $15 an hour?
No, you're right.
Okay. Do you think you're going to get a wage increase after minimum wage goes up?
Mm-mm.
But all the prices of your goods and everything that you're buying are going to go up.
Yeah,
So what's that going to
have to.
do to you? It's going to push
Inflation
you
and
closer to the
finances.
poverty level. Now, if we abolished minimum wage, okay, if we did away with it, how many people on this panel would work for 10 cents an hour?
No.
Mm-mm.
No,
Mm-mm.
no. So the workers still have the right to work for a fair wage. Do you understand this, people?
So here's a devil's advocate. Okay, I agree. I see what you're saying. Now let's talk about what's fair. As
Okay.
you as the employee or you as the employer, what's fair? Because the employee, of course, we're always gonna talk inflated.
Okay.
Well, I need this to live. I need this to live.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
like I'm on a champagne living style, and I'm really only got Kool-Aid bills.
Kool-Aid
Right.
bills?
You know, so in a sense,
Great.
you know, just to
Say great.
what I'm asking
Your
for.
black
A
people
30K
love-
millionaire.
Right, you know what I mean? So then how you bring the balance there? If like you say we take away the minimum wage, how do you look at that from both sides then?
Can
You
I-
see?
Well, now the wage is going to equate for the work that's being done. So if you have somebody
minus
that's
in education, or that plays a factor into it too?
education, a lot of the, let's face it, the reason that all these companies move their manufacturing overseas is because they can't afford to pay them the labor wages of manufacturing here in America. So you either have to have education or you have to have lower wages in order to bring those jobs back.
And with
So-
that, and with the higher wages, they've made jobs require a bachelor's degree that never had before. Like to go work as a warehouse inventory control person, they want to see a bachelor's degree in supply chain. For what? It's a warehouse job.
They trying to control. That's trying to segregate the
It's,
situation.
a lot of
streamline the candidates.
a lot of it is a lot of it is
Overqualifying.
that let's streamline the candidates. Let's make this job a bachelor's job because we're going to pay bachelor's degree wages
Mhm.
for the job. So now it puts that education at a higher priority in
And statistically,
in America.
you filter out the percentage of certain minorities that's going to be applying for that job by doing
More
that.
control.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, dig this though,
Exactly.
Val. From a black man point of view, I'm gonna tell you something that I agree. I don't know if I'm falling into the libertarian, concept or not. But listen, so let's say I've been at my job 3 years, right? I came in at $11, right? Now I'm at 15, right? I done worked my ass off. I'm doing extra hours. I'm doing all this stuff. Then you come, right, on the minimum wage and it's raised up to 15, right? So you promise that you're gonna be able to climb up, right? And I'm talking about I might not, have the same raise because what if that's my highest? You know what I'm saying? Like where I'm at, I might have to go to school, do some other stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I agree to that point to where I know it's kind of needed, man, like we were talking about affirmative action, but still then, like Turtle made me just realize, like,
Well, I was in that situation.
How did it feel?
I was the person that actually came into the job, to the new job at the higher wage.
Wow.
Right.
He was the black.
So when I came into it, you know what I mean? I was that guy.
Right.
So they was like, I thought that's what it always was, and I thought that wasn't shit. But for a part-time job, making that and then having...
Oh, it was part-time too?
Yeah.
Oh, you was the black guy. They looked at you.
You know, and then having the benefits that's glorious. I mean, part-time job with benefits, though.
Right?
Oh, wow.
I mean, good-ass benefits
Wow.
because of the union. You see what I'm saying? So that was on renegotiation of contract. So the people that were making, so come to find out. So let's just say 14 out here. I just gotta give a shout out. Ohio State 14-0 on Michigan, or 14-7 on Michigan.
I thought you were talking about wage. You don't be talking about a damn store.
So like back east, the minimum wage was lower back east. So it was $10 back east, $13 out here. Okay, so then they go to a contract renegotiation. Now it get all up to 14 all across the country. So now you got 14 back east, and now you have 14 out here. Well, those people out here that were making the 11 or 12, they're happy that they're getting 14, but they got 7 years in the game already.
Right.
I got 3 weeks.
I'm looking at you
So
funny
now
as hell.
right. So now they got a problem with me, but it ain't personal, Jack.
Yes, it
it's the
is.
system.
Yes, it is.
No,
It
you
is
gotta be
personal.
mad at
But
the
you got a
system.
choice. You got a choice.
I could say not to take the job
Yeah,
and take you.
You have a
So
choice,
I was
bro.
looking out for self, and self took it.
absolutely.
And you know why? That's why the boss tell you this. All right, Bill, you're going to start off with this much. This is going to be what you get for your benefits. But hey, look, don't go out there bragging about it.
Yeah.
That's what they say that. That's what they say that. Because he's like, hey, man, you heard about this dude, man? What he do, man? Like,
Yeah,
back to affirmative
I'll tell
action.
you a reverse story. Okay, I actually worked for. I had at one point in my time, I had 3 jobs that I was working. I was working 7 days a week, and I was working pretty much morning to night every day. And my third job was working for a major pizza. I'm not going to say their name. They're major pizza company.
Okay.
Okay, and
Everybody been there.
I was a driver for them.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
and hourly, I actually made the most money with them than I made with
crazy.
my other jobs. But it was because I only worked during the prime time hours, so I was making like $20 an hour delivering pizzas. And it came that Arizona was going to raise minimum wage, and it was like they were going to raise it from like $7.25 to like $7.35 an hour, right? And my boss came up to me and said, hey, your review's coming up. We just want you to know that part of your raise is going to be that minimum wage increase. And I looked at him and I said, that's not acceptable. And he was like, well, that's corporate policy. We can't do anything about it. I was like, well, you better do something about it, because if that's what you're going to do, I can take my skills that you guys have taught me in the pizza delivery business here, and I can move on over to Pizza Company B over here, and I can go to work for them making the same amount of money. So do you want to keep my skills that you've invested time and effort into training me, or do you want me to take those skills and run over to this pizza company over here and make the same amount of money? When my wage came around, I went up 25 cents an hour, and he told me to keep my mouth shut because nobody else was getting that rate. It's because I was the only person that complained about it. But I brought up a perfectly legitimate argument to his, I wasn't going to accept it. And I was in the luxury at that point in time of being in a job that I could afford to lose. So I didn't.
Right.
But
and see, that's why I think a lot of people do stay where they're at, because number one, they're basically been corporized.
Right.
People, like I like to say,
People fear change.
You know, and they fear change, or they fear success in their own job, or when they have the know-how and their dream is to, I want to start my own thing doing this, but they just don't ever do it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So,
and a lot of the reason that people don't do it is because of the over-regulation, the over-complications of starting a business. It's a hard thing to do in our country to start a business, because you got to jump through all the government hoops. So you've done this as an owner of a company, and now the employee is going to dictate how much you pay to him.
Right.
Do you understand where that? And that's where that libertarian philosophy comes from.
Well, let me tell you how I feel with what he said. Like, I'm not saying nothing, Dave. I'm not saying I'm bad, but I'm just saying, if your girlfriend say, I want you to marry, you got so much to marry me, you love her. She said, you got so long to marry me, right? You go out here, you work your butt off, get this ring, get this house, and all that. You know what I'm saying? You like, okay, and do all this. You give her the ring, you get married, and then she say, now we married. I'm gonna tell you what you're not gonna do. Right? And what you mean? Like, do you know what I just did to do this? What you talking about? Like, oh, you're not gonna get none of this if you don't do this and like that. And I have a big problem in my house right now. I'm just saying.
Not with you, babe.
Not
with somebody else in the house.
Right? I'm just saying, honey, that
I love you.
That it makes it seem I understand it, right? I swear, Turtle has opened my eyes to so many things. Like, you know what? You was a dick turtle motherfucker, right? Like, what the hell is you gonna say? Like,
it's a communist household.
I'm just trying to be. I like this word right here, free. I love that.
Freedom.
Freedom. Not just freedom. Let me be free, right? Look, I was finna leave, right? Listen, I was finna call Aaron, right? Well, listen, I'm gonna admit, I was talking to Aaron. So in case he'd be like, you were talking to me, right? But I was like, oh yeah, Aaron, yeah, I'm coming, I'm on my way, right? So I put up the phone, and I was just like, usually when my wife want to do certain things, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like I have learned through my friends to support your wife, but now it's like I have to have the freedom to do the things that make me happy too. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta support those things, you know? So I was like, she was like, where you going? I said, I got the BMW show. At the BMW show at the end of the month. And she said, well, I got to go to the family's thing and this, that, and another. I was like, well, listen, you better gather up all the kids and you better put them in your truck. Let me take your truck. No, I got a new truck. You're not going to take my truck. I got my truck to take my truck. Well, you're not going to do that for the family? I'm going to wear the shirt. So I wore the shirt, right? I wore the shirt to represent I am still with the family. It's a family thing. How it was spelled crazy, but this is my way of giving support. But I want the freedom. This is important, man. It's a freedom. And that's what, to me, as a libertarian, is really pushing in my brain. I'm like, hey, Democrats, hey, listen, I've been hanging for a while, but now there's some things in my mind changing.
This narcotic.
If you want to look up how little capitalism is going on in this country, just look this up. Certificate of need laws. Okay, there's a majority of the states have these, and it basically applies to medical care in this country. Okay, and here's the thing, and tell me that we're living in a capitalist society when you hear this. Okay, in order for me to open a hospital in certain states in this country, okay, I have to get a certificate of need, okay, which is a government. Now they bring this up in front of a board and say, do we really need this? Now, who's the board made up of? Get this, it's made up of the people that own the other hospitals in the area. So here, I'm going to be a competitor to you in your market here, but you have to approve me opening this hospital. Are you going to allow, if I made widgets and I was in charge of approving anybody else making widgets, do you think I'm going to approve these people to be my competitor? Of course not.
You're not good enough.
Of course not.
It's just
You've got it was a big case in Tennessee where there was an ambulance company in this little rural area of Tennessee. It was either Tennessee or Kentucky. I'm sorry if I got this wrong as far as the state goes. But they require a certificate of needs for ambulance. Literally, this little area had 2-hour wait times for ambulances.
What the hell?
2-hour wait times. And this other ambulance company came in and was denied a certificate of need because the other ambulance companies were the ones that approved the certificate of need. Of course, they're not going to approve competition coming
2-hour wait.
That is not a free market, people.
No,
that is not a free market.
No. It's like one airline buying up 2 other airlines talking about a merger, but yet those airlines all become that one entity, and now they have 3 fucking Concords at an airport when they used to just have 1. Now they got 3 Concords.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
It you know, the more you dwindle out competition, the higher the same service is going to cost you, and the lower the quality is going to go. You know, and that's the problem with government getting involved in anything. Once the government gets involved, it becomes a monopoly. The government has the monopoly on that situation, and the monopoly by force, because if you don't abide by their laws, they can arrest you and imprison you and everything else. Right. So when the government comes in and says that we're going to do this for you, all they are saying is we're going to take it over. We're going to take over this industry. It's going to cost us more money. We're going to reduce all competition. Right. And we're not going to have the same quality of service because they don't have to, because they have a monopoly on the situation. Mm-hmm. So it destroys any kind of capitalism that there is. And let's face it, in this country with the overregulation that's gone on and things of that nature, okay, the small business doesn't stand very much of a chance. It's, you know, go open a little neighborhood bar and then have Applebee's open next door to you.
You ain't get no business.
You're not going to get any business.
That's why I love it when I see Circle K and Quick Trip open up right across the street from each other. I always be laughing like, I want, you was here first. You had all the money. Now these
guys are here.
Now you go by, it's like, wow.
Throwing competition. Have you noticed that Circle K's out here, you used to walk in and it was just ding dong. But now you walk in and you're hearing the people at the counter greet you and things of that nature. Hey, how you doing today?
They actually have 2
those are Quick Trip
in the cashier spot at the same time now.
And those were Quick Trip's ideas. Quick Trip's ideas on how to run their business.
Multiple. You don't wait.
And it's for Circle K to step up and match what this other corporation is doing.
Right. Because that's true free market though, right?
But that's a true free market. That's a free market example. That is a true free market example. That's capitalism at its finest right there. Right. Okay. You know, I know they're both major corporations, but at the same point in time, that shows how a free market will work. Right. Now, when Circle K had the stranglehold, they could have 1 cashier running at a time, and they could charge whatever they wanted to, and they didn't have to greet you when you walked through the door, and they didn't have to keep the place clean and everything else. Right. And now, because of QT, we're getting better service from everybody.
QT school. Hey, listen, I want to tell you something right now. You have to be able to talk to multiple people, interpersonal relationships. As people walk in the door, they catch everybody coming in the door. How you doing, guy in the red shirt? Hey, look, do a little nice little baby. You got a puppy here, and they got to learn how to catch 2 people out at one time.
They use both sides of the register.
Exactly. Both sides here. That is amazing.
Here you go, 13. Next, come on. All right, got
amazing,
you.
That was amazing.
It'd be like a no-look pass.
No-look
pass. Hey, come on up
the game. You know, and look at what they've done too. They've blueprinted their stores, and you walk into the QT that you've never been to before, but you know exactly where everything is.
Clean
because they all have the same layout.
Consistency.
Hey, let me ask y'all something about Trump. Do you think Trump starting this mess with these countries gonna start war? Do you think he's doing it? Listen, do you think he's doing it because it's necessary, or he's doing it out of just being stupid, man? Like, he be having me scared, bro.
The latter, because
I'm gonna say this about our foreign policy. Okay, I like some of the things Trump has done with foreign policy. I'm not gonna bash on everything that he's done foreign policy wise, but big but, okay, we as America need to stay out of all these other countries. Drama. If they're if there is not them coming into our country and invading us, we need to just stay out of it, you know, with certain exceptions to the rule. World War II, I don't think we should have ever been in Vietnam. Nothing against Vietnam vets. I'm a veteran myself. Okay. Well, we shouldn't have been involved in Vietnam. I don't think we should have been involved in Iraq and Afghanistan and Korea.
This is his opinion.
But this is my opinion. Okay, this is not a libertarian philosophy. Well, actually, it is kind of a libertarian. Libertarian philosophy believes that we should just be protecting our borders. We should just be protecting our country. We shouldn't be involved in all these foreign conflicts. At minimum, we should have congressional approval to go to war. And that's the way the Constitution is written, people. It's not, that's not me saying that. That is the Constitution of the United States. The whole idea behind it is Congress approves the war because you've got representatives from every state in the union
Make friends
to do that. So you have to have a big majority support of the United States in order to go into foreign war. Now we've gotten to the point where the president can push a little button and start things and then get congressional approval down the road. You know, and then by then we're already involved in it. And it's kind of like, well, do you really not want to support this now that we're, you know, we've got 100,000 troops over there?
Now that we're ass deep, we have to fight out.
we have to play it out.
Put us in a situation where we have no choice.
You know,
I don't think that was a Trump thing. Obama did the exact same thing.
Obama did the same thing.
He threw our troops in.
I'm
signing this declaration of.
Hey, who you talk to, dog?
Obama carpet bombed the Middle
Bill?
East and Africa with drones all through his presidency, and nobody said anything about it. And then Trump came in office, and all of a sudden people are like, whoa, what are they doing over there? Yeah, it's been being done for over 8 years now. You guys just now paying attention. But, you know, I don't like us being involved with a lot of foreign conflict that we don't need to be involved in. I'd like to see us take more of a stance of a lot of the European countries that don't get involved in all these foreign conflicts. We do not need to be the world's police department. We got enough to worry about here. We're $23 trillion in debt, people. 23 trillion, and Trump has done nothing to lower that, by the way. $23 trillion in debt. Just let that sink in for a second. Okay. Let's get back on single payer healthcare. Our budget is $3 trillion a year, roughly. Okay. Single payer healthcare is going to be $3 trillion a year by itself. Now we're already $23 trillion in debt, and we're going to double our our budget. How are we supposed to pay for this? How is this not going to land on our children's children?
You don't have to pay for it. It's free.
It's of course it's free. That's why I'm saying there is no free. It's taxpayer paid. Okay, people, it's taxpayer paid. Okay, if you're not working and you're living on government assistance and things like that, then it's free. But if you have a job, it's taxpayer paid.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then look at let's take a moment to look at taxes real quick. You're taxed on your income. Then you're taxed at any purchase you make at a cash register. Then if you own your home, you're taxed to live at that property. Okay. And then if you die with a little bit of money in your account, you've got inheritance taxes and death taxes and everything else. And you invested a little bit of money that you made. Capital gains taxes. You are taxed on everything multiple times.
You want to pull your money out of a 401k early?
And cha-ching. You know, this is not a free market, people.
It's net spin, y'all. It's net spin. Net spin.
Taxation is theft.
Yeah, you're taxed on your income and you're taxed on your outcome.
Taxation is theft. They take the money from you for your labor, your time spent at work, and then they don't even allow you to make a choice of where the money goes. Tell me in anything else other than government that's not theft.
Fucking FICA.
So
FICA ain't no joke.
It's
mask up, waiting on your ass door.
It's theft. And if you elect Bernie or if you elect Elizabeth Warren or Camille Harris or any of those people, guess what? You're going to see those taxes double just to pay for the single payer healthcare. I'm not even talking about the free college.
So in the end, what we're saying, it's next November. So you have a whole year. You have a whole year yet. This next November.
Right. Think about it.
There's a lot of candidates coming out. You don't have to vote Republican. You don't have to vote Democrat. But so look at all the candidates, all the potential candidates that are coming out. on all parties and see which one best fits with your alignment. You don't have to go, well, they're the lesser of two evils. Well, I like these policies better than I like those policies, and these ones make sense, so I'm going to vote this. Look at all policies and see where you best align.
I challenge people to look up the Libertarian Party, okay, to look at their policies. We do have a lot of more left-wing ideas. I know I've kind of focused on a lot of the right-wing ideas today, but there are a lot of left-wing ideas too. The legalization of drugs and ending the war on drugs, gay marriage, freedom and equality for all.
Don't make me have to ask you back, Turtle.
For all. So, yeah.
You left out a lot.
2 hours is not enough time to explain the whole mess that we've got going on here. But, the Libertarian Party has a lot of socially, they're very liberal. They're very liberal in their beliefs. They believe in equality for all. Mm-hmm. They believe in giving people the same rights and things of that nature. But fiscally, we're a lot more conservative. And if you're going to say one thing about Donald Trump being good in this country, and I'm not saying there's a lot that you can say about that, but if you're going to say one thing, he has done good for the economy. He has done good for the economy for all. Okay, because he's a businessman. Mm-hmm. A lot of the libertarian viewpoints have a tendency to be more fiscally conservative, but we are more socially liberal. So we are that kind of middle of the road between the two parties as far as ideas. Mm-hmm. We're the opposite of socialism. We are for no government basically being involved.
That's what I'll say. He said no government.
No government. No rulers. No rulers. I can rule myself.
Well, this has been that third party politics we was talking about, y'all. We didn't cover as many. I didn't gave all the. He didn't answer all my questions. What about you, Val?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, man. He didn't came here, Turtle. Turtle came here and put the boop, boop, boop down on what he think. You know what I'm saying? He covered a lot of my questions. Like I'm definitely happy that you came back, man, and we had this conversation.
More than happy to come back. Anytime you guys want to discuss this with me, I'm more than happy to come on the show and discuss third-party politics. I love the fact that you guys have enough guts to give the libertarian people
we call
a
people
voice.
Mustard asses. We very gutsy. We very gutsy.
Right. Oh, and it's all out of love. Mustard ass folks. Love y'all.
Mustard ass folks. I smell mustard asses.
That's all that just came up with. That's all good. But go ahead.
Yes, I was going to wind to our music assignment.
Let me go first.
Hold on. So we're going to our music assignment, right? Mm-hmm. So we know the new. You want to talk about the new rule? Is that what you're going to go with?
No, I was just going to talk about the music I listen to. But go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm going to introduce. So last 2 weeks ago, we introduced the new music assignment where we pull from the box,
the genre box,
right?
Genre box.
So it was kind of done incorrectly last time because our new rule is we're going to pull from the box and Val's going to pick. And then next week it's going to be, or next time it'll be Nitty, and then next time it'll be me. Whereas what was done, it was done for all three of us. So what we did is we eliminated the last two and just went with the first one. Mm-hmm. So we're going to restart it again, and it's Val's pick again. We're starting at the top. So, but
why did he get to go again? Because he black? Well, I don't understand.
Well, he didn't pick.
What's going on?
He didn't pick the music.
Because I'm about that.
So he didn't pick the music. I actually ended up picking the music because it was.
Oh, we know that with the
right.
Yeah, we know exactly who picked the music.
The first genre that was pulled and given to Nitty was actually pop, and.
Well, this is poppy.
Everybody drew a blank on pop, so I came out with Debbie Gibson, Out of the Blue.
How the hell you
1987.
come up? Just like Out of the Blue, the title of the damn song.
I'm sorry.
Out of Debbie Gibson,
Out of the Blue.
Poppy
Hey, I'm in the bathroom listening to Debbie Gibson. My wife wakes up out of her sleep. What the fuck are you listening to?
Chill.
Who the hell are you messing with?
Dog. My wife was like, why is it that you always seem to got some weird shit to review? And does he review anything? I was like, yeah, I got it. So, he had Jill Scott, he had Maxwell. Maxwell.
He had to review
Jill
Frank.
Scott.
He had to review Frank Struble for my friend, my brother. That was hard for him, so I understand. Man.
That was, I was like, who the fuck?
It was Pop.
Man,
What about you, Turner?
like,
All
all the pop
you
motherfuckers.
talking about that was cool. That shit wasn't cool.
I said that was cool.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. You back in there. I'm gonna say that shit was like my wife was like, I know you around some bitch. Why is you listening to this shit? You don't listen to. They call Aaron. Aaron Michelle. This was the assignment he gave me. But you know what I learned? This one tell you, man. This is what Debbie Gibson sound like. I listen to other songs.
Shit.
She took love songs and put it over pop music.
Pop. Yeah. Because they all sound the same. Really?
Yeah.
Hey,
80s flashback.
Really?
But that's Pop.
It was definitely.
That's what it
took
was.
me back to the 80s.
That high snare.
Yeah.
So you just didn't like the production, bro?
Babe, I said, listen to this, babe. It's the same damn high snare in this track. Bing.
Uh-huh.
Now listen to this one. Bing. Listen to this one. Bing.
They use the same drum machine.
You would definitely say the little keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah, dog. Just hit number 4 and just look that back.
Hey, bro, did you listen to Slide though?
I listened to all that shit.
I listened to. I had to go.
I was only familiar with one song.
I had to listen to. I had to listen to like some other songs to get into. I was like, man, and all the production is with that little keyboard.
Yep.
You know why I don't listen to nothing else? I just go into it to just to be surprised or caught off guard at whatever the hell Aaron got us listening to. And just like this shit, only long it was one song out of the whole thing was open my eyes or in my eyes or whatever, open some shit. And that was the song that I remember. And I was like, oh, this is who Debbie Gibson is. Uh-huh. I think my mom listened to this song.
My mom's
not the album, this song before.
That was a single. Yeah.
On the radio or something. Yeah. And I was just like, I've
There's
heard
a reason they were
this
called
song.
One Hit Wonders.
Right.
No,
everything else.
She had like 4 albums.
She's the version of Madonna.
Madonna?
She's the version of Madonna.
Oh, the version
of Madonna. Yes.
Yeah. Clean little innocent version.
Yeah.
That'd be a good heavy metal name. Virgin
version of
right.
Madonna.
The version of Madonna.
That's cool, man.
That's how I gave it to you, yo.
Right?
Virgin.
Yeah, man. That's how I gave it. Oh, can I put one shout out though?
Yeah.
Shout out to all the participants of No Shave November. Due to prostate cancer. So, thank God it's over. So I must be shaving here. Next show. Yeah. But just want to say shout out to everybody that stuck through that whole month because it was one hell of a month, wasn't it? Yeah. It was woo. Mm-hmm. Woo, just the most hair out of 30 days I got in 44 years.
Of course, now's like the best time for it because now it's going to get cold and you're going to shave and you're really going to feel that cold now.
The wife asked me, when you going to shave? I said, you know what? November's not over yet.
Yeah.
I said, there's still 2 more days. She said, thank God.
When you was coming up, I was like, what did he want?
I don't have any money.
We don't have
no change. I don't carry cash.
I used to come out the store and the homeless person used to always ask me, hey, brother, you got $1? Excuse me, sir, you got some change? Hey, I just walk right on by him now. Walk right on by.
Hey, can I get $1? Can I get a? Hey, what's up, man? How you been? What
you know what I'm saying? Ask me how you doing.
Here, man. Here's $1. Here's $1 for you, man.
You my bro. You don't look that bad, bro.
Right.
You don't look that bad, bro.
I was like, man,
come on, man. Don't be saying that, man.
We getting it all, man. The homeless people ain't even asking.
You said homeless, man. We try to give you money.
Man. I was like, well, shit, thank you, because gas is $3.09, $3.99, I think it is now. So,
additional shout outs to Terry Peve, my mom, for joining. Johans John Boy Davis, thanks for joining.
That's my brother. Good look out.
Michelle Peve, my wife, for joining, and of course Julie Jones.
Yes, let's go Feelers.
Julie Jones,
Cleveland
wife of
Feelers. Tomorrow, Cleveland gonna whip that ass again. Minus Myles Garrett, but let's go Cleveland Browns. Woo! She over there right now cussing me the hell out. Fuck you, Val. Fuck you. God dog, I can't stand you. I'm a Cleveland Browns. And his wife is a Feelers fan.
I don't think Cleveland's going to make it past Pittsburgh.
Boy, football is our best time of the year, man. It's our best time. Love her to death. You know what I'm saying? But Football's just our best time. Just so much real fan back and forth shit. It's all in good spirit. But after last week, yeah, the house got rough. Ha ha. Let's see who we got.
Oh, nice. Yes. Yes.
Only one person knows this category.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Polka.
Polka.
Who the hell out here know polka?
I know polka.
Exactly.
Yes.
Polka.
Hey, what are we gonna listen to?
You tell me. I don't know.
Polka. Like you gonna ask us?
Hey,
what we gonna listen to?
No way.
It's polka with the accordion thing.
Yeah.
That one song. Yep.
So we're going. Then if I'm throwing out there, and I suggest Frankie Yankovic, America's Favorites.
America's Favorites.
Aaron.
That's
Yeah, man. Wait, first of all, this ain't no Debbie
be
Gibson
Frankie
shit,
Yankovic.
right?
No, it's definitely Debbie Gibson.
Listen, I swear, man. Wait a minute, man.
Frankie Yankovic.
He's monopolizing.
We don't even know how to spell Yankovic. I say we. I just went off a limb and thought you didn't know how to spell. Because I don't know how to spell Yankovic either. Yeah, and I don't have a Siri. I don't
just
talk
put
to
in
that.
Frankie and then YAN. It'll come up.
Oh my God, man! Why you ain't try to shake the box or something, man?
I did.
No, you didn't. You let him shake the box. He monopolizing the whole situation.
Oh, yeah, that's
he
true.
picking the song. He's shaking the box. I don't want to listen to no damn poker.
I know. Hey, what is that in golf when you get to, do
Sandbag?
Nah, it's not that. It's like a do-over.
Oh, mulligan.
Yeah, can we do a mulligan?
No, man. You know what? I trust him. He always introduced me to some different styles, different living. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, I can't say where it was, but
Frankie
bro
Yankovic.
bro just took me someplace, man. Well, I thought it was gonna be uncomfortable, and everybody was like,
Hey, dog, he not taking us to get nowhere near
Cool,
Debbie
man.
Gibson, so I'm all right with that.
"It's cool, man." So we can trust him on. He
Right.
he makes sure we was okay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He make sure we was okay, man.
Debbie Gibson. So we good. So just want to tell people, hey, man, enjoy the holidays. Be safe this weekend. Don't drink too much, and then don't drive. After
Enjoy
you
the
drink
holidays.
too much anyway. But
Don't
really,
drink and drive at all.
just be safe, man. I had a conversation here with my youngin', and just had to talk about family and what it is for. And this week,
Yep.
so this is what we about to do. A music. I got a drink. I'm out.
That's actually the best drinking music is polka.
Oh,
That's
Lord.
gonna be what I'm hitting.
There you go.
Yes.
Go, my
Enjoy
brother's house.
yourself.
I'll get some
Go Ohio State.
Don't drink and drive. And remember, Uber has done more for
Right.
DUIs than
BNW
government ever has.
Holla at us. Let's go Cleveland Browns. Let's do it, baby.
All right.
Peace out, Facebook
Thank
fam.
you.
Y'all
We apologize
true
for
fan.
the inconvenience.
One love.